So hello and welcome to today's video. So whenever somebody mentions the Warriors game, most of you will probably think of Rockstar's release on the PS2 and Xbox back in 2005. And you have good reason to, because it's a well received game by fans of the film and people who've never seen the film alike, and often regarded as one of the best game adaptations of a film of all time. Especially considering it was released at a time when movie tie-in games were pretty common, but also 80% garbage. The Warriors stood out on how a game adaptation should be done and retains a cult classic status to this very day. However, did you know there's a second Warriors game that did release a few years later? This one was not made by Rockstar, even though they did have plans for a sequel, which was then converted into a Warriors inspired game set in Britain, then it was cancelled. But no, this one was made by a very obscure studio by the name of CTXM, a studio based in Latvia and is so obscure you cannot find them on Google. Anyway, this game was called the Warriors Street Brawl and was released in 2009 for the Xbox 360, PC and Apple macOS. Now I'm playing this on the Xbox Live Arcade trial version since the full game is partly lost media, because the full game was fully delisted in 2013. And according to the Warriors wiki, it amassed a very pathetic 1,283 sales on the Xbox 360 alone in 4 years. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if it's true, that is very, very low. It's unknown how many copies the PC version sold, but it's probably assumed not much because the PC version you can find online is only available in Russian and the macOS version is seemingly lost completely. Anyway, since this is the trial version, I'm restricted to pretty much the first level of the story, so we get about 5 or 10 minutes of gameplay, so let's hope it's good. Now we do start off very mixed. The reason I say that is because we do get to choose which warrior we want to play as. We have 4 of them: Swan, Coachess, Rembrandt and Vermin. And one feature I already like in this is the ability to add in AI players, as you can either go it alone, with friends or an AI, or a mixture of them I believe. The character models are alright, I'll say. Now this is a tiny studio we're talking about here, so we can't expect them to be working with a Rockstar budget. So I'll overlook the slightly bad character models for now, because I believe a studio this size did the best they could. But most of the models do stay true to the characters from the film, with minor problems on some of them. For example, Coachess's bandana looks green rather than gold, Rembrandt looks like he's been shot at with a paintball gun, and probably the worst one of all is Mercy, because her outfit has been completely overhauled for the worst. Because in the movie she wears like a long floral skirt, and here they just swapped it out for a denim skirt and pink knee-high leggings. My only guess for this is maybe because her skirt would have been a bit too much for this style of gameplay. Also, Ajax is the only other unlockable warrior in this, and apparently he's unlockable after you beat the story. Which does raise one question. Why the hell can you not play as Cleon or Snow in this? I don't think they're missing from the demo because Mercy and Ajax are here, and you're told how to unlock them. But where are these two? I get maybe Cleon since he does die in the film, but I'm pretty sure Snow survived, didn't he? There's no reason why he at least shouldn't be playable. So after we've chosen our warrior, it kinda goes a bit downhill from here, because we get a massive, and I mean a massive disappointment in the cutscenes department. Just watch the cutscene and you'll kind of understand what I'm on about. I have not muted the video or anything, there is just genuinely little to no audio in these cutscenes at all. I think the entire game is a massively missed opportunity, and it shows very, very early on. The mute cutscenes already kinda ruined the game for me, and we haven't even gotten into the game yet. Why? Because the entire cutscene is completely mute, except for some faint ambient music. This is such a colossal step down from Rockstar's rendition in nearly every way imaginable. Now I know it's kind of unfair to compare a really small studio to that of Rockstar, but I mean, I'm going to go against the grain actually and just say I don't mind the comic style cutscenes, because I can forgive that for CTXM's small studio size. You're not going to expect a fully reenacted scene for scene comparison like you got with Rockstar. But the lack of audio is just really off-putting. Even if they had the movie's audio playing in the background instead of a light ambient track, that would have been a massive improvement. I really don't understand why they didn't do that. They have the full rights to the entire film, and they even had Cyrus saying his iconic line in the splash screens. So why not here, where it would have made the cutscenes infinitely better? Likewise, the cutscenes are also rather drawn out as well. The scene should be at least cut by a half, but at least they do give you an option to speed it up. So far, we've started off pretty weak. So now we're actually in the game, we can now experience what the game has to offer. But I'll be honest, the controls, they do feel decent, but they also feel like the kind of game that once you go accustomed to the controls, you can probably muster up a combo or two that will make easy work of most people. Like for example here, I managed to cheese it by constantly punching this one guy on the floor, and groups of 2 people or more can be made easier by using Swan's LB move. If I can make this easier on the first level in the trial, it does not look overly promising for the full game. Likewise, being able to fully block anything without any breakage or never taking any damage while blocking is insanely overpowered. Well, maybe not overpowered, but probably exploitable somehow. Now when I say the controls are decent, I mean it for the fighting, but for everything else, not so much. For example, the controls say the button B is to pick up weapons, but here I'm stood between a knife, a bat and a plank of wood. I'm pressing B, but it won't let me pick them up at all. Likewise, playing with 4-player AI is a very mixed bag. I personally found it really difficult to see where I was most of the time, and the other half of the time was me letting the AI kick the crap out of everybody else for me, which makes it easier. However, this is a double-edged sword, because the game operates on a fixed section kind of mechanic. You cannot progress until the enemies have been defeated. Now this part is unfair on the player, because the AI will not move by themselves, meaning you have to move with them onto the next section, but because you need to move first, you have to wait for the AI to come up behind you, then you'll progress onto the next part. But you'll likely get attacked very quickly by some enemies who have just spawned in. It's a very arcadey kind of game, and that's great because it does nail that beat 'em up arcade style very well. But I just don't know what to say really. It's a very meh game overall. Honestly, I do not think there is any reason for this game to exist whatsoever. Rockstar's rendition of the Warriors was already met with insanely high praise across the board, and did tell the story of the film without any problems. And Rockstar even added in their own context for the film events for the Warriors fans. The Warriors game by Rockstar was the ultimate pack for them, and people still adore that game today nearly 20 years later. This one, I don't know to be honest. Like, I'm actually kind of stuck for words on it, even though I've just been talking about it for the past few minutes. But yeah, it just kind of feels like it's a cash grab to cash in on the Warriors brand name again. The plot of this game is once again just retelling the film, and there is very little reason for that because Rockstar did it much better years before. It just kind of feels like, as said, it was made to cash in on the Warriors name, and the news of the Warriors is now on Xbox 360 might have excited some people into thinking it was Rockstar's version, but no. What they should have done is just republish Rockstar's game on Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. Just up the graphics, fix a few bugs and just leave it at that really. The Warriors Street Brawl is not bad, you know, there's definitely a lot worse games out there, but this one is the very definition of meh. It's just boring, and to be honest, if you played beat 'em ups before, I don't mean like, you know, Yakuza or Buddy or whatever, but I mean side-scrolling beat 'em ups like Streets of Rage, I feel like you probably wouldn't like this game much either because it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. It just leaves you a lot of questioning as to why this even exists to begin with. Like, do we really need a second attempt at a game adaptation of a film that was already done to near perfection years before? Of course we don't. This game's just disappointing really. But that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.